The path to true happiness, Ikigai Simplified. What if I told you that the secret to waking up every morning with excitement, with purpose, with a deep sense of fulfillment already exists, and it's been hiding in plain sight? What if I told you that the reason so many of us feel lost, drained, and stuck in the loop of survival isn't because we're incapable of happiness, but because we were never taught how to find it? We live in a world that constantly tells us what we should want: success, stability, money, recognition. We chase these things endlessly, believing that once we have them, we will finally feel complete. But how many people do you know who have all of these things and are still miserable? How many people wake up dreading their own existence despite having done everything right? That's because we've been given the wrong map. We've been told that if we just work hard enough, if we just push through, if we just follow the blueprint handed to us, we will eventually arrive at happiness. But happiness isn't a destination. It's not something you find at the end of a long road. It's something you cultivate in the way you live, in the choices you make, in the things you dedicate your time to. This is where Ikigai comes in. A simple yet profound concept from Japan, Ikigai is often translated as reason for being, but it's more than that. It's the intersection of four things: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. It's the perfect balance between passion, mission, vocation, and profession. And when you find this balance, life stops feeling like something you have to endure and starts feeling like something you're excited to wake up for. But let's be real. Most of us don't live this way. Instead, we settle. We work jobs we don't care about because they pay the bills. We abandon our passions because they don't seem practical. We silence the voice inside us that whispers, there has to be more. Because it's easier to ignore it than to face the fear of change. And so, we live in this gray area, not miserable enough to break free, but not fulfilled enough to truly thrive. Have you ever felt that? That quiet, nagging feeling that you're meant for something more, but you don't even know where to start. That's the absence of Ikigai. That's what happens when you live disconnected from the things that truly matter to you. And the longer you ignore it, the more numb you become.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
So, what if we stopped for a moment? What if we questioned everything we've been told about how life should be? What if we stopped chasing someone else's definition of success and started searching for something deeper, something that actually aligns with who we are? Because here's the truth: you were not born to just pay bills and die. You were not meant to spend your entire existence grinding through days that drain you. You have something inside you, something only you can offer the world. And if you don't find a way to align your life with that, no amount of money, security, or external success will ever fill the emptiness. So the real question is, are you ready to find your Ikigai? Or will you keep convincing yourself that one day, someday, things will magically change? Because the reality is they won't, not unless you decide to change them. Escaping the invisible prison: why most people never find their Ikigai. If Ikigai is the key to true happiness, why do so few people ever find it? Why do most of us settle for lives that feel hollow, unfulfilling, and disconnected from what we truly want? The answer is simple, yet terrifying: we are trapped. Not by physical barriers, but by invisible ones, by fear, by conditioning, by the expectations of a world that does not care about our fulfillment, only our productivity. From the moment we are born, we are placed on a predetermined path. We are told to work hard in school, to get a stable job, to make money, to be responsible. And while none of these things are inherently bad, they become dangerous when they blind us to the bigger picture. Because the truth is, these rules were never designed to help us find meaning. They were designed to keep society functioning. to keep the gears turning, to keep us all moving in the same direction so that the system never breaks. And so, we grow up believing that security is more important than passion, that practicality is more valuable than joy, that success is measured by external achievements rather than internal fulfillment. We trade our dreams for stability, our creativity for efficiency, our time for a paycheck. And we tell ourselves that this is just how life works, that we should be grateful, that wanting more is selfish or unrealistic. But deep down, we know something is missing. We feel it in the quiet moments, in the restless nights, in the way we distract ourselves just to avoid facing the emptiness. We see glimpses of it in the people who are truly alive, the ones who wake up excited, who radiate energy, who seem to have found something the rest of us can't quite grasp. And we wonder why them? Why not me? The answer is painful but necessary to hear. The difference between those who find their ikigai and those who don't is not luck. It's not talent. It's not intelligence. It's courage. The courage to step away from what is expected. The courage to listen to the voice inside them instead of the voices around them. The courage to take the risk of living a life that is their own rather than one that was handed to them. But let's be real, this is terrifying. Because finding your ikigai means change. It means stepping into the unknown. It means breaking free from the safety of routine and asking yourself questions that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. What do I actually love? What am I truly good at? What impact do I want to have on the world? And perhaps the hardest question of all, if I continue living the way I am right now, will I ever feel truly fulfilled? Most people never ask these questions because the answers might force them to confront an uncomfortable truth that they have been living a life that does not belong to them. And that realization is painful. It shakes the foundation of everything we thought we knew. It forces us to admit that we might have wasted years, even decades, chasing things that were never meant for us. But here's the secret: it is never too late to change. It is never too late to ask these questions, to redefine success, to take even the smallest step toward a life that feels real. Because the biggest tragedy is not failure. The biggest tragedy is spending your entire existence asleep only to wake up at the end and realize you never truly lived. So, the real question is, are you willing to break free? Or will you stay in the invisible prison, convincing yourself that one day, someday, things will magically get better? Because the truth is, they won't. Not unless you decide to make them. The courage to rediscover yourself, how to align your life with Ikigai, breaking free from the invisible prison of societal conditioning, is not a single moment of rebellion. It is a lifelong process of rediscovery. It means stripping away the layers of expectations, fears, and distractions that have buried the real you. And that is not easy. Because by the time most of us realize we are not living in alignment with our true purpose, we have spent years, sometimes decades, building a life around things that do not fulfill us. We have invested time, energy, and emotions into careers, relationships, and routines that keep us comfortable, but not alive. And the thought of tearing it all down, of starting over, of stepping into the unknown, is terrifying. But here's the truth: no one tells you you do not have to burn everything to the ground to start living with purpose. Finding your Ikigai is not about reckless abandonment, it is about conscious realignment. It is about making small, intentional shifts that move you closer to a life that feels meaningful. And that begins with the simplest but most difficult question: who are you when no one is telling you who to be? Most of us have forgotten. We have spent so long being what others expect us to be that we don't even know what we truly love anymore. So before you chase a new path, before you try to force yourself into a new version of success, you must first unlearn everything that is not you. That means questioning every belief you hold about what you should do, about what is realistic, about what is possible. It means going back to the things that made you feel alive before the world told you they didn't matter. What did you love as a child? What activities make you lose track of time? What subjects make you curious? What problems do you feel compelled to solve? These questions are not just abstract exercises, they are clues. Clues to the parts of you that have been suppressed under the weight of obligation. And when you start paying attention to them, patterns emerge. You begin to see the things you love, the things you are naturally good at, the things that make you feel useful to the world. And when these elements start to overlap, you begin to see the shape of your ikigai. But recognition is not enough. The greatest tragedy is not people who never discover their purpose, it is people who discover it and do nothing with it. Because the moment you see the truth, you are faced with a choice. Do you ignore it and continue as you are, hoping the discomfort will fade? Or do you begin the slow, difficult, but life-changing process of aligning your life with what truly fulfills you? Most people will choose the first option. They will rationalize, hesitate, tell themselves that now is not the right time. They will say that passion doesn't pay the bills, that purpose is a privilege, that they are too old, too busy, too far down the path they are already on. And so, they will stay exactly where they are, hoping that someday somehow happiness will find them. But those who choose the second option, the ones who take even the smallest step toward their ikigai, are the ones who change everything. Not just for themselves, but for the world around them. Because here is the real power of living in alignment with your purpose. It is not just about personal happiness. It is about impact. When you do what you are meant to do, you inspire others to do the same. When you live with passion, you create work, experiences, and energy that elevate the people around you. And that is how real change happens, not through forced productivity, not through empty societal definitions of success, but through individuals who are truly alive. So, how do you begin? You start small. You integrate your ikigai into your life in whatever way you can, even if it is just a few minutes a day. If you love to write, write. If you love to build, build. If you love to help, help. Do it even if no one is watching. Do it even if it doesn't make money yet. Do it even if it feels insignificant. Because every great transformation begins with a single step. And the more you lean into it, the more it grows. Eventually, the gap between your current life and your ikigai will become too wide to ignore. You will reach a point where you either step fully into the life meant for you or stay in the one you've outgrown. And when that moment comes, you will be faced with the only question that truly matters: are you brave enough to choose yourself? The unshakable freedom of living your truth, becoming who you were meant to be. Most people spend their lives waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right feeling of certainty, before they finally choose to live the way they were meant to. But that moment never comes. Because the truth is, there is no perfect time. There is no external sign that will suddenly make everything clear. There is only now, this moment, this decision, this chance to step into the life that has been waiting for you all along. But choosing yourself is not easy. It is not a single, dramatic moment of transformation. It is 1,000 small decisions made every single day to live in alignment with your ikigai, despite the fear, despite the doubt, despite the fact that the world may not understand. Because the moment you decide to stop living on autopilot, the moment you choose to pursue what truly matters to you, you will face resistance. From the outside world, yes, but more importantly, from within yourself. Your mind will fight you. It will tell you that you are not ready, that you are not good enough, that you will fail. It will try to pull you back into the comfort of the familiar, even if the familiar is slowly killing you. It will remind you of every past failure, every reason why things won't work, every voice that ever told you that dreams are for the lucky few. And this is where most people stop. Not because they don't want more, but because they believe the voice in their head that tells them they can't have it. But here's the truth: that voice is not reality. It is fear. And fear is a liar. Fear will try to convince you that staying small is safer than taking the risk of truly living. But the greatest risk is not failure. The greatest risk is looking back at your life and realizing that you never truly showed up for it, that you let fear dictate your choices, that you let doubt keep you from pursuing the things that set your soul on fire. Because when you finally step into your IKIGAI, something incredible happens. Life stops feeling like a battle you have to fight and starts feeling like a current you can flow with. You no longer wake up dreading the day ahead. You no longer measure your worth by how busy or productive you are. You no longer feel like you are endlessly chasing something just out of reach. Instead, you begin to experience something that most people never do: peace. A quiet, steady kind of fulfillment that does not come from external achievements, but from the deep knowing that you are exactly where you are meant to be, doing exactly what you are meant to do. And this is where true freedom lies. Not in financial wealth, not in status, not in the approval of others, but in the ability to wake up every day and live in alignment with who you really are. In the ability to trust yourself, to follow your intuition, to create a life that is not defined by obligation, but by purpose. Because the moment you stop living for validation, the moment you stop trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for you, you become untouchable. No one can take your happiness away because it is not dependent on anything outside of you. No one can control you because you are no longer seeking permission to be who you already are. So the final question is this: what will you do with this one life you have been given? Will you keep waiting, keep hesitating, keep playing small? Or will you finally take the leap, despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, despite the fact that the path ahead is unknown? Because if you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. If you wait until the fear is gone, you will never move. But if you decide right now, in this moment, that you are done waiting, that you are done asking for permission, that you are done living anything less than the life you were meant for, then everything changes. Not all at once, not overnight, but in the quiet, powerful way that all real transformations begin. And one day, without even realizing it, you will wake up and feel it. That lightness, that certainty, that unshakable, undeniable feeling that you are exactly where you are meant to be. And in that moment, you will understand what so many people never do. Happiness was never something to be chased. It was something to be created. And you had the power to create it all along.